The 605th edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to £325 your entry with the brand new Pick 8. Sign up today with promo code MMA SGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer of up to $250 in bonus cash. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MMA SGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks with Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Hi-ho, degenerinos. Welcome to episode 605 of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. This one's going out to my dog, Lula, for not barking last episode that we recorded. This is a preemptive dedication to remind her not to bark this episode as well. Even though it's going to be dogs walking down my street time soon, so we may not be so lucky here. We'll have to wait and see. Thanks for coming to the show. I'm one of your hosts, the almighty supreme leader, Jeff Fox. Hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Get those numbers up for us. Last time, every time I say it, it works. So let's do it. We got some more regional MMA for you, the top regional promotion, at least in North America, or maybe we'll call it the top feeder league for the UFC. It's LFA 188. They're back in the United States of America after being in Brazil last week for the Brazil versus Latin America event. They got a big event going down in Chandler, Arizona this coming weekend, a 13-fight card with a championship belt on the line on the top of it. So we shall be breaking down 5 prelim fights today, 5 more fights tomorrow, main card fights, and then tomorrow we'll include our lightning round picks. So we shall get all to that very, very shortly. Let's bring in the man who will be making the picks, the man who knows his way around the LFA. It's the one and only Daniel Gumby-Vreeland. Hello.
Hey, I will just remind people, if you hit the subscribe button and you don't want notifications because the little number or the little badge bugs you out, just turn notifications off. You can still subscribe and it still makes our life tons better. So we'd really appreciate it. And yeah, every time we mention this at the top, as annoying as it is, we get a whole bunch of more subscribers. So please do that so that we can stop asking once we hit a magic number where YouTube starts paying us. And then in addition to that, I'm pumped for this this LFA card because it is not short on talent. This is a very fun card, top to bottom. I'm glad we're getting to do a show entirely on the prelims because that's always fun too, because there are some really good names on these prelims, including some really closely lined fights, or at least, again, I lined them fairly closely. Right. We're waiting for the official odds to come out. As of Monday here, they are not out, so we will wait a little bit longer, see if we get them, and see where they come in.
Yep. And as we were saying, Governor was saying off air, this is he knew this event would be in Arizona because it's MMA lab heavy. So it's
very MMA lab heavy. If you are a fan of John Crouch and the work he does down there in Arizona, you are going to be a fan of this here card.
I assume there's no MMA lab versus MMA lab action though, right?
No. They're all on their own. It's often like a MMA lab versus a smaller local gym, or like Fit NHB. I think it's usually in a bunch of these, or Fight Ready or stuff like that.
Yep. All right. Before we move on, I need to let you know that the latest episode of SGP Stories is out on Patreon. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. And the guys do a forensic files style deep dive on the Bobby Petrino motorcycle accident that cost him his job. So check us out at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. And of course, please make sure to check out the WNBA Gambling Podcast, as Terrell and Scott, the hosts, have started out red hot with their locks. There's nothing that Scott can't do. He's red hot with Wimbledon too. All right. So check all that stuff out. And let's jump into this here event. It's a big event, and we're going to get cracking right now. So as I said, off the top, Chandler, Arizona, July the 12th. So that will be this coming Friday, LFA 187, Sweeney versus Do Nascimento, 10 p.m. Eastern start time. So it won't interfere with the PFL meta that we covered last episode, because that is around lunchtime-ish, 11:30 a.m. Eastern is the start time for that one. So this is 10 p.m. on UFC Fight Pass. The Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass in Chandler, Arizona, in a cage, 13 fights. We're going to get cracking with 5 prelim runs for you here. The only ones we're skipping our fighters with 0-0 records. Maybe they'll end up in the lightning round. I'm not sure if Gumby knows what any of these people or not. You may have heard of the people in the first fight we're going to break down, though. I wouldn't say household names, but names that you may have heard of. It is a 3 5-minute round light heavyweight fight. Alik Lorenz versus Kory Moegenburg. I will tell you about Moegenburg first. The monster. Moegenburg is 3-7, 1 knockout, 1 submission. He's been knocked out 5 times, submitted twice. Yikes. He's taking this fight on short notice. I'm not sure how short, but he is a replacement fighter. He's 0-2 in LFA. He's lost 2 straight, and he's only won 1 of his last 5. His last 2 losses have come via submission. Used to fight at heavyweight, 0-2 in Bellator, 2014 Pro MMA debut, 0-1 in bare knuckle fighting championship as well. Lorenz, 4-1 with 4 knockouts. He's been knocked out once. He owes his rounds. He may not get him here, though. He's won 3 straight fights. He's not lost since October 2021. 6 years younger than Moegenburg, 5 inches taller. And I assume he's going to have a big number beside his name that starts with a minus.
Yeah, minus 500, minus 600 here, and probably getting fed up. I will say, I want to give a little props to Kory Moegenburg too. I want to say I picked him in a somewhat recent fight because I was like, he's game as hell for like the first 2 or 3 minutes of every fight. Like he's fought some dudes too. Like he's fought Thomas Peterson. He fought Logan Woods, who was on last week's LFA. He fought Brendan Allen in his debut. Like this is a guy who's fought a lot of dudes, and he was game for like I said, 2 or 3 minutes of all those fights. And then he just gets into a bad position or gets hit one time, and you're like, that dude wants out of here. Like it looks like he gives up a submission too easily, or he crumbles a little bit more easily than you would have thought. And Lorenz is just the type of guy to put that kind of beating on him. Lorenz is so powerful. The guy has got a big right hand. He can wrestle a little bit. This is one of those MMA lab guys. I will say I've been a little lower on Lorenz than some people have, just because I think his face is kind of there to be countered. I think luckily in this case, even if he gets countered by Moegenburg, he's going to eat one of them and then turn around and hit him once, and then Moegenburg is going to want to not be there anymore. But I think Lorenz has some room to grow more than maybe some people think based on his record and what you've seen him lined at in his previous fights. But with that being said, I do really think he's got a lot of potential, and I do really think that this is a good spot for him. Despite it being a last-second replacement, you'll probably see him have to work a little bit here, but he's clearly the pick.
Alrighty, this dropped way down to flyweights now. Lívio Ribeiro from Brazil, Mauro Gutierrez from Mexico. 3 5-minute rounds at the little guy weight, 125. Tell you about Gutierrez first. El Angel. Have a feeling, I don't know a lot of Spanish. I got a D in Spanish in university. I have a feeling it means the angel. Just
I did far better in Spanish than you did. I can let you know that it does mean the angel.
Yes. That's why I didn't fail Spanish, I guess, right? This angel is 3-0 with 1 submission. This is his debut. He won his last fight via submission. 2-0 in professional Muay Thai, 4 years younger than Ribeiro. Ribeiro is Galino, Galino. Little something, right, Gumby? Do you know what?
Yeah, little chicken. Chicken
yes.
little.
He's a little chicken little, right? He's 3. We've had that nickname before, have we not?
I think so. Yeah,
I don't think it's this guy. Was it this guy?
No. We haven't talked about Ribeiro.
Right. He's 3-0 with 3 submissions, 1-0 in LFA, 1-1 in grappling, and champion there. And he's 4 inches taller than Gutierrez.
Yeah, so Ribeiro, another MMA lab guy. I've got this line pegged at, because the similar records, like -150 for Ribeiro, and I like him a lot in this spot. Couple of things I like about him particularly. You mentioned Gutierrez has a Muay Thai background. It's really Ribeiro's Muay Thai that I like better, though. He's got a really nice push kick, really nice low leg kick that he works with. And the bottom line is both of these guys are best when they're doing jiu-jitsu, which I think is why they kind of paired him up. Mauro Gutierrez, I don't think has necessarily the wrestling to wind up in good positions on the takedowns. I will also say, though, that Ribeiro is a guy he's a guard puller. Like, I've seen him pull guard in a lot of fights. I don't know that
works in 2024, right?
I don't know that it will work against Gutierrez, but I also do think most of his guard pulling comes from when he shoots a takedown and gets stuffed a little bit, and he wants it on the ground enough. And luckily for him in this fight, I think he's got the wrestling that he's not going to fail all that often on Gutierrez. And I do think he's better at jiu-jitsu. Like, if you watch him both in jiu-jitsu competitions, albeit he does compete mostly in the gi, but if you watch his jiu-jitsu competitions. He works well off of his back. He works really well off of the top if he does wind up there. And I think this is a position where he could wind up on the top a lot. But ultimately here, I think Ribeiro, probably the type of guy who can win this on the feet, and Gutierrez will probably oblige him enough that it will stay there. But even if it doesn't, like I said before, Ribeiro's skills on the ground are just better. So give me Ribeiro here, hoping only a slight favorite here, hoping the line doesn't get too out of control. He is an MMA lab guy, which I think is going to move that line just a touch. But with the records being so close and their experience levels kind of similar, I do like Ribeiro.
All right, Little Chicken is the pick then over the Angel. All right, Underdog Fantasy is also our pick because they have pick 8 is now live on Underdog Fantasy. You can create entries with up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex entries, so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry. You won't really miss 2 picks because all you people are smart, but you can if you choose to. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement is higher than ever. The best part, you win up to 325 times your original amount. You can also use specials and boosts on all flex entries. Any upcoming plays for anything, Gumby? Anything or just general picks?
I mean, I always say I always say hit the Braves hitters, but they've been pretty cold lately. So I'll actually say the lower than on Monday's Marcelo. Actually, they're not playing Monday. Lower on the next time you see Marcelo Zuna's line posted at 1.5 total bases because he has been slumping.
Not good. So don't miss your chance to get in on pick 8 and on the slumping Marcelo Ozuna. Try it out before it's gone. Sign up with our code MMA SGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit. Offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MMA SGPN. And of course, Circus Sports are back with Circus Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. Of course, Circa contests have no rake. Circa Millions, you pick 5 NFL teams against the spread each week and compete for $6 million, or you survive the NFL gauntlet to claim the $10 million prize. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com to save you $50 with promo code SGP. Don't have a trip booked for Las Vegas yet before football? Ultimate Contest Weekend is a great time to go out, hang out with the bosses, Ryan and Sean, tell them how amazing Gumby and Chalks are, and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sportsbook in the world, August 22nd through the 24th. All right, because we are amazing. You won't even be lying telling them that we're amazing. All right, we are moving to a middleweight fight. Eric Fimbres versus, what's his first name? His name's so long, Tapology, when he has an initial. His name is Montè Deon Ogbonna-Morrison from Nigeria. Let's tell you about him first. He is known as the Python. He is 3-2 with 3 knockouts. He should be a submission artist if he's going to be the Python, but hey, I don't make the nicknames up. He's never been finishing a fight himself. This is his LFA debut. He's lost 2 straight fights. He's not fought since July of 2023. He's not won since July of 2022. 0-1 in PFL. Used to fight at light heavyweight, 3 years younger than the Fimbres. Fimbres, 2-0 with 2 knockouts. Both those fights have taken place in LFA. He's not fought since January 2023. He's 3 inches taller than Ogbonna-Morrison. So a couple more inexperienced dudes here. What you got?
Yeah, I think obviously with the records being where they are 2-0 and 3-2, I think you're going to see Fimbres as a pretty high favorite. We'll talk like negative 325 plus 275 on the return for Montè Deon Ogbonna-Morrison. At least that's my prediction. And I would say if it comes in at that line, Ogbonna-Morrison, real live dog here. I like the underdog play here in Ogbonna-Morrison, mostly just because so Fimbres is a guy who in his last fight sort of just kind of took over late with the wrestling because his opponent got tired. And he kind of just toughed it out. And, he took over with the wrestling, wound up getting a ground and pound finish. I don't think that's going to be possible here. Ogbonna-Morrison, very strong, particularly good in the cage control and in the clinch. If he puts a guy up against the cage and holds him there, it's really hard for them to work out. I also really don't like the idea of Fimbres, being such a tall guy, right? He's 6'6". This is going to be the first time he's fought, in my knowledge, with a reach disadvantage. Because while he's 3 or 4 inches taller, he is. I want to say it's like a 4-inch reach disadvantage in this fight. Ogbonna-Morrison has got really, really, really long reach, and he uses it pretty well. The thing that's kind of held Ogbonna-Morrison back in his PFL fight, or there was a CFFC fight, I believe he lost too. The thing that held him back in those fights was just not willing to let go. But I think here you're going to see him land those low leg kicks, especially because Fimbres uses a wide base. And if he does those things and holds him against the cage, I think you're going to see him come out on the judges' scorecards. And even if he doesn't come out on the judges' scorecards, I think he's got a slight power advantage too. So give me Ogbonna-Morrison, especially if you can get some dog money on him.
Fantastic. All right, we'll stick with the inexperienced guys. Johan he's Rodriguez.
Nope.
Because he is.
Nope.
He's Rodriguez.
No, that's just not one of the fights we have.
Okay, fine.
Today, man.
What fight are we doing next, Gumby? Ikei and Kim. Right, you're right. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't even have that other fight on there.
No, it's Tapology. I'm a Tapology guy. You know how it goes. All right, we're going to flyweight, ladies and gentlemen. Chance Ikea versus Ryan Cam, both in the United States of Americans. 3 5-minute rounds at flyweight. Cam 1-0 with 1 knockout. This is his LFA debut. That's all I got for his resume. Ikea, the Typhoon, 2-0 with 1 knockout. Both those fights have taken place in LFA. So very inexperienced, but I'm sure Gumby knows about these guys somehow anyway.
Yeah, I do. Kim was a guy who was an absolutely terrible amateur. He was 0-3 at one point as an amateur, pretty much just by being dominated in the wrestling every single time he fought. He took about 4 years off, came back. I don't know if his wrestling is better or if his competition since he's been back has just been bad enough that we haven't had to see it really tested. But he's looked better since he's come back. His striking's a little bit faster. And again, I don't think he's fought the level of competition that we know. But like, given that he's 1-0 and Ikea is not really had much to go by, I still think Ikea probably a decent favorite. Plus, he's an MMA lab guy too. And we'll say -165 for Ikea. I'm going to go with Ikea because, like I said before, Kim had huge problems with the wrestling in the past. He spent some time away, hasn't had problems since, but I do think Ikea is a high enough level wrestler, particularly in the way that he gets underneath the hips. He ducks under the shots. The way he locks his hands around the hips, I think is going to give Kim problems. I will say he doesn't have necessarily the best skill at keeping the fight on the ground, or his positional jiu-jitsu is maybe leaves a little bit to be desired, but he does do enough damage with the ground and pound. And in addition to doing damage with the ground and pound too, I really like the way he works the body, both when he's in the clinch and sometimes he just throws like a straight right to the body. I think if nothing else, that'll wear out Kim and lead to better wrestling chances later for Ikea. So I like Ikea via the wrestling. I like Ikea via the when he's actually on the ground. I like Ikea maybe a little bit less standing, but I do like him enough here at negative. If he comes in -165, -150, I like a sprinkle there.
Do you like green eggs and ham though?
Did I rhyme a whole bunch in that one?
No, you just said I like.
Maybe I like Borat.
Maybe it's true. One thing we both like is Rhythm. If you're betting on player props, then you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm is a go-to sports betting tool that transforms complex data into actionable insights, empowering bettors with smarter, data-driven decisions. Like other platforms, Rhythm combines advanced predictive analytics with intuitive user experience, making betting both easy and enjoyable. Rhythm's predictive models were born from the brains of MIT data scientists and quants, with over 3 years of data that help drive you to better AI-backed betting decisions. Rhythm projections have been red hot for WNBA and golf. Check it all out. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RATHMM. Okay, the last fight we are covering on this here episode is, make sure I get the right one. Yes, lightweight fight. Chris Renteria, Ilay, Barzilay. Renteria, United States, Barzilay from Israel. We'll tell you about the Israeli first. Barzilay is 4-0 with 2 knockouts, 2 fights, 2-0 in LFA, 8 years younger than Renteria. Renteria, 4-2, 1 knockout, 2 submissions. He's been knocked out once, submitted once. He owes his rounds. 0-1 in LFA. He's won 2 straight fights. Before that, he lost 2 straight fights. Before that, he won 2 straight fights. Won his last fight via TKO. Used to fight, has not lost since April 2022. And he's got 2 inches of height over at Barzilay.
So Barzilay's got a lot of hype coming in on him through this fight, both from his 2 fights in LFA and just generally. People, I think, have him touted as a pretty decent prospect here. So I want to say he's going to be -250, maybe even -300. If that's the case here, if he is -250 or -300, I think I still like him. The bottom line is Renteria's offense mostly comes down to just like a whole bunch of overhand rights. He doesn't really set him up enough for me to really believe that he's going to stay away from Barzilay. And then from Barzilay, I think my favorite part of Barzilay is the foot sweeps and the trips. Anytime he gets into a clinch, his foot sweeps and clinch is really on point. So I think for me, there's a good chance that they wind up in the clinch here. I think Barzilay takes over with those foot sweeps and clinch. He's got good control on top. And I think he probably just rides out a decision that way. So give me Barzilay, probably in the negative 250 range. And I think it's probably worth a sprinkle or worth moving him into a parlay if that's the case.
All right, fantastic. I'll recap for you. Barzilay, Ikei, Ikea we'll call him. Ogbonna-Morrison, Ribeiro, and Lorenz are his picks for this episode. We'll be back tomorrow with more LFA 188 picks for you. In the meantime and in between time and at all times, we or someone, usually all of the above, are in the Discord, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Make sure you subscribe, as we said off top, to our YouTube, MMA Gambling and Podcast, of course. We're SGPN MMA on Twitter. He's at Gumby Vreeland. I'm at Jeff Foxbrighter there and on Instagram. Check out my Substack. Enter my UFC Pick'em contest for this coming weekend. That's moneymma.substack.com. Listen to Gumby's Top Turtle MMA podcast. Do you have more DWCS fighters on this week?
Yeah, we do. We're going to be talking to Gage Young, who is on Dana White's Contender Series, as well as who's the other one I have? Oh, Vanderberg from Belgium, which is a pretty exciting interview as well. So Gage Young and Vanderberg.
Excellent. Check that out and check out our stuff and all of our colleagues' stuff at sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Get cool swag and gear at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store and help support us at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Gumby, you get to bid the people farewell of this episode.
All right, I'm Dating Gumby Vreeland. He's Chicken Little Jeff Fox, and we will see you tomorrow.